everybody, and welcome back to Thanks, It's Vintage with your hosts, Andrew
and Lydia.
And we are back at our location here, Kenmore Square, right by Fenway Park, Vino di Vino, for another episode.
Beautiful blue skies, as opposed to the scary orange ones.
I know. Yeah, no, gorgeous today. The smoky fire has passed. That was very interesting.
Very strange. Apocalyptic.
Yeah. Although they say that there's a little bit more that's going to be coming.
Probably.
But it looks like the way the wind is going to carry it, it's not going to be Boston that gets hit particularly hard with the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be like southern Mass. We'll get a touch of it. And then really it's going to be New York. New York is going to get... And it's going to be lower in the atmosphere. So they're getting some dangerous particulates. So if you're going to New York in the next couple days,
bring a mask.
And of course, you're going to hear this after this has probably all happened. So
yeah, true.
So I hope you did bring, something
I hope you brought a mask.
It's apparently that the air is not going to be safe, which is very, very unfortunate that this is happening. But today, our topic is not wildfires.
No.
Even though that is a part of our industry. That's a thing that happens in some of the regions.
Something we need to keep an eye on.
But today, our topic is Chardonnay. That really divisive grape.
Yes.
And
divisive really only in the last 40 years.
I know. Well, I think the problem is, we're just gonna jump into this. Let's do it.
Let's begin.
This is a topic that I think a lot of people are very interested in, and some people are afraid to kind of dip their toe into this world of Chardonnay because a lot of people have been introduced to Chardonnay by the boomers. We're just going to call it. This is one of those areas of wine where there's a very clear generational thing that happens, right? And the boomers ended up loving one very particular style of Chardonnay.
And it was also the boomers in this country.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily
it's
everywhere.
Not the rest of the world. No, it's just the U.S. Remember, in the U.S., we are connected to the rest of the world, but we are at the same time very isolated when it comes to practices that we have and things that we've done culturally that we just don't realize actually don't translate into the rest of the world. We are a country that looks very much inward a lot more than I think we realize we do. And here is a great example of that. And that is the boomers loving a very particular style of Chardonnay, making it popular here. And of course, everything that comes with that, which is what we're seeing now.
Yes. The ramifications of popularity in wine.
Exactly.
It lasts much longer than you think it will.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see the decline of this style. So let's call the style what it is, so our listeners and viewers are aware of what we're talking about if they're not already picking up on what we're putting down. And that is butter. Oaky. Buttery.
Oaky Chardonnay.
Like take a stick of butter and throw it in the glass kind of Chardonnay. Like very heavy style, very coat your entire palate and just linger there forever.
Yeah.
Like you literally just licked a stick of butter. And it's a very specific style that really harkens to California.
It really did. It was just being produced in California.
Yeah. It came from American oak barrels, brand new American oak barrels, full malolactic conversion, which we'll get into here in a moment.
Touch on for sure. But it began a movement that was fully against this style of making called ABC, Anything But Chardonnay. And that lasted decades. So this style was mostly popular in the 80s and the 90s. And it has taken until now. We're still meeting many customers who say they hate Chardonnay because all they've tried is this incredibly buttery oaky style that is not for them. And we're still feeling the effects of this style that was mostly famous 40 years ago.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's a style that is we're as we see this transition happen right now, it's funny seeing it from a retail perspective where the shift has started to turn, in the direction of like now a wine shop may have one very oaky, buttery style.
Yes.
But like a decade ago, you would have had a litany of them. And it is that changing taste profile and that, that kind of the boomers are, unfortunately, sorry everyone to be morbid, right? They're in that age bracket now where they are one cutting down their drinking a lot more. In fact, that's an article I just read, which was if you look at all the data, the wine industry's downward turn right now isn't actually Gen Z or millennials not drinking enough.
No, it's the boomers.
The boomers they were drinking so much
Yeah.
that they are now really like everything is falling
the
down.
loss in the industry is actually them slowing down. Yeah.
It's also why I look at any businesses that cater to that generation, especially that generation that has money, right? And it's like you're the ones who are about to be in trouble in the next 10 years because you don't know you're not seeing the pivot. The pivot's happening in front of your eyes right now.
Well,
Chardonnay is a good example here.
Retail perspective, the pivot has been happening for 10 years.
Truly,
there is a massive shift in what people are craving these days, and it's a lighter, fresher, less oaked style across the board, reds and whites.
Yeah.
And rosés, but rarely are they oaked.
True.
So the shift has been happening. The wine industry has been making these lighter, fresher styles for a while now. And yet people are still too scared to dip their toe in the world of Chardonnay because they were burned.
Right.
they have horrible experiences with these crazy oaked, buttery nonsense wines. There is a place for them. I shouldn't trash them.
There is a place.
So let's talk about Chardonnay the grape.
Yes, because I think that it's important for people to know that this grape is never going to produce one singular style of wine.
No. It is an incredibly varied grape. So it produces easily. That's a good place to start. It's a pretty vigorous vine. Unlike the wine that gets paired with it, which is Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is an incredibly fussy grape.
Right.
Chardonnay, not so much. Chardonnay can grow in a variety of regions and a variety of climates.
Is it fair to say that Chardonnay is like the weed of grapes?
Well,
it can
I
just
think there
grow
are
anywhere.
Quite a few of them. Like Sauvignon Blanc is actually relatively easy to grow as well.
True.
So there are a few of them that are quite vigorous and you need to tame them rather than help them. It is early ripening, so it is susceptible to frosts and things like that. It does have thin skin, so it's susceptible to mildew. So in that respect, it is a bit fiddly. You have to be careful, especially if you're in a cool continental climate that gets frosts in this early spring. Early spring to well into spring, I should say.
Yeah.
Now, in the world of climate these days, it's getting later and later. But it is a grape that is low in aroma. It's subtle in both aroma and flavor. And that's where it becomes very important to understand, because what you do in the vineyard and what you do even more in the winery affects this grape much more than other grapes. So with something like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling, those are highly aromatic grapes that you don't really want to mess with. You want to maintain the aroma, maintain the crisp flavors. And because of that, you're not doing much in the winery. But with Chardonnay, it handles a lot. And so you can change it. They call it the winemaker's grape because what the winemaker does matters very much to the outcome of the wine. So there are things we can do to it that change its profile dramatically.
Right.
Hence the buttery oaky wines of the 80s and 90s. So again, that style is lessening. A much fresher, cleaner, non-oaked style is coming about. But let's talk about the things that can affect the wine.
Yeah, because I think that when we mention that oaky, buttery like style that everyone was drinking back in like the 80s, right? That's one extreme. That is the do everything to it style.
Yes.
You know? So in that vein of, let's talk about what we can do to Chardonnay, right? Oak is one of the first things we can talk about because people know that that's where they usually gravitate to. A lot of people go,
do I like oak?
Do I like oak? Do I not like oak? Right?
That's one of the more obvious ones to notice.
Right.
In the glass.
Oak, we have your choice of barrels. You have American oak, and you have French oak. French oak is always going to be more expensive. Why? We're sourcing it from France. We're sourcing it, across the ocean. So there's other costs that come with it. It's not growing in our backyard. So there is a transportation cost to it. It is always going to be more expensive.
But it is more prized as well.
Exactly. And that is a very key thing here.
The cost.
What do those two barrels do? Oak, if it's American oak, it's going to be loud and boisterous. If it is French oak, it's going to be softer and more eloquent. More generous in it. No, I shouldn't say generous. American oak is going to be the generous one, huh?
Elegant.
Eloquent. That's the, elegant, eloquent, right? That's the French oak style. And American oak is very loud, boisterous, and, going to be really generous with its flavors and aromas.
Yeah.
And this is assuming new oak, because if the barrel has been used over a multitude of years, it transitions from new oak to used oak, and used oak does not give flavors and aromas. Used oak really gives body and texture.
Yes.
And that is why you find that winemakers will choose how much of the batch of wine they have produced will go into brand new oak versus used oak. So when you ever see anything written down or hear any of us as professionals talk about, percentages, this wine went through 15% new French oak and then, 30% used oak, and then the rest was in stainless steel tanks, right? These are deliberate. This is where Chardonnay really benefits from these kinds of deliberate decisions, because now they'll blend all that together. And so some of it got flavor, some of it got body, and some of it is just clean, crisp, and as it was. So, I mean, that's the first thing we talk about. But everyone always likes to say oaky, buttery. Some people like to say just oaky, and they are trying to say buttery. But the butteriness doesn't come from the oak.
No.
It comes from something else.
MLC or MLF.
Malolactic conversion. I don't like calling it malolactic fermentation because it's not fermentation. Fermentation has already happened.
Well, it's the end result of fermentation.
Right.
It's something that you allow to happen at the end of fermentation.
It's not true fermentation.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the term malolactic fermentation. I stick to just calling it malolactic conversion. I don't know why we call it two different things. I didn't even look into that,
Again,
actually.
it's probably British versus American.
Maybe.
Because the WSET very much says LLF. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it that. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm guessing. So I just want to point out that all of these things we're talking about happen at the end of fermentation. So
Right.
there are a few things that can happen in the vineyard as well. We can touch on those later. But MLC, malolactic conversion, it's a choice made at the end of fermentation. If you allow your must, your juice, to rise above a certain temperature, it will naturally convert the malic acid to lactic acid. And lactic acid is what we find in dairy products. So that creaminess, that butteriness, that's literally what we're feeling now because the acid is now there that wasn't there before. So this is a textural thing, kind of a flavor thing, but very, very minorly.
I think this is why everyone likes to run to the oak, because the texture plus the flavors of new oak, that vanilla from new oak, plus the texture of creaminess, right, gives that buttery profile.
Yeah.
And if you're missing one or the other, you don't get that exact profile.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that we should say that neutral oak does affect the texture. It does add weight, which comes across as creamy sometimes. Or even if malolactic hasn't been allowed to happen, you might still get some of that texture, but you're not going to get all of it because the lactic acid really adds to that body as well.
Right.
It changes the texture of the wine. So we've got oak usage, we've got MLC, and then we've got lees aging, or lees manipulation. Lees are actually done with a variety of white wines. It is more common than we think, but it's done a lot with Chardonnay. And this is another textural aspect to the wine, and one that sometimes can present as creamy. Maybe not buttery, but creamy.
Yeah.
And this is, so lees are this is why we call them lees, because calling them what they actually are is much less attractive. Lees are the dead yeast cells that have been used to convert the wine into alcohol, the juice into wine, essentially. And when they are used up, they fall to the bottom of whatever vessel you've fermented in. And if you leave the wine in contact with the lees, and again, the length of this is a choice, the manipulation of it is a choice, you can either leave it just sitting there and have very little contact, or you can stir it, however regularly. And this creates more body, more texture, and a certain subset of flavors. All very subtle, but there. A lot of wines choose to do this, especially cool climate, because it's an interesting one. I really should have done more research on how it affects the acids, but it masks. It doesn't actually affect directly the acid,
Right.
but it does give more body, which masks high acid in a certain way.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it the other day in your class, for Nantes region, because a lot of cool climate regions will have very, very bright acid at the end of a harvest. And if you want to subdue that in a way that won't affect the aroma, then lees aging is one of the biggest things you can do. So yeah, Melon de Bourgogne, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Sancerre does quite a bit of lees aging. The higher end stuff,
Right.
often. The kind of, it's weird to say the word bulk Sancerre, but there is such a thing now, and that's way more clean, no lees aging, very crisp, very mineral driven.
Right.
Chablis does lees aging.
It does.
So there are regions that will often do it because it adds texture, and therefore I keep on trying to use the word mask. It feels wrong. I don't mean mask.
I wouldn't say mask, but it helps to,
integrate the acid.
Integrate the
That's
acid,
a better
right?
word.
Yeah. Or, in another sense, you could also say it helps to soften it, right? Like the acid is still there. It's still high acid, but it is by integrating into it and adding this other layer of texture.
Yeah.
It's
less
essentially
noticeable.
Softening it, right? Quote unquote. And so you don't feel that acid as much. It's also good to note that all of these things we talk about with Chardonnay, all these different, winemaking techniques, these are all done pretty extensively with red wines. One of the things that, a lot of people don't realize
touch on that.
is that, there's a lot of high acid grapes that are red grapes, and full malolactic conversion is done way more than you think it is on a lot of reds.
Well,
because
it's across the board done on reds. It's
Yeah.
very rare to find one that isn't.
It's needed. It's
Yeah.
absolutely needed. Otherwise, the acid on those wines would be searing. And no one realizes that that's a thing that happens.
We should just say, though, that it's not necessarily a choice in red wine because red wines are fermented at a higher temperature generally.
True.
And so the malolactic conversion just happens naturally. Whereas with white wines, generally cooler fermentations mean that at the end of your fermentation, it is a choice whether you do it or not.
Yeah.
You actively have to let the temperature rise to allow it to happen.
But if they did not, I mean, I could not imagine what some of these reds would be like that are already high
Nebbiolo
acid.
without
I mean,
MLC.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And that's another thing to know. We talk about like, the lactic acid being softer, creamier, like kind of style of acid. It is really important to talk about the fact that the acids that have converted into lactic acids, the mallow, right? It's these acids are really, if you've had high acid white wines that have seen no conversion, you generally know what we're talking about. It's really going to hit your tongue real hard there, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like that style.
Tried a North Italian one the other day.
We did.
Blew our heads off.
Yeah, the
was
acid
so
was
bright.
just searing.
And it was fun,
It was fun,
but you need food. You
but it's also
couldn't drink that by
there's
itself.
no way. So this is something that for Chardonnay benefits from this ability to be so malleable as a grape, and you can make these choices, and it's gonna always change exactly how this comes out. So that being said, before we go further into the conversation, let's also open up two different styles of Chardonnay.
Yes.
So we can taste and discuss this further and give everyone these examples of something that we actually have in store, which is great. And what what these two different styles mean and how this works and why this is a winemaker's grape. Let me go grab those. All right, so I've got these two right here. We've got the Scallywag Chardonnay, which is from the McLaren Vale in Australia. And then we also have the Altkirch Chardonnay from Alto Adige, Italy. Now, anyone who doesn't know where Alto Adige is, it is north of Venice. So we are up in the Dolomites.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're up in the Dolomites is where we are.
I think it's like multiple converging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. High altitude, cool climate area. And then the McLaren Vale.
Warm climate with moderating oceanic influences.
Australia.
Right near where I grew up. So, Alto Adige. Fascinating region. Small production. It is incredibly difficult on the whole to grow grapes here and to make wine. It is a series of valleys, glacial valleys, that were carved out many, many years ago. And it has many, many different aspects, many different sizes of vineyards, because we are very much limited by the topography of this region. But basically, a lot of them are in the foothills. So we're dealing with a continental climate for the most part. There are Mediterranean influences. The breezes off the Mediterranean actually get up this far into the mountains. So there are some areas that are much warmer than others. And if you're on the valley floor, it's significantly warmer because that works as a heat trap, actually. But most are in the foothills. They're the prized regions, and they really produce, on the whole, this linear, fresh, higher acid, generally unoaked style of Chardonnay. one thing we didn't touch on earlier, which I just want to mention, one of the features of this grape is that towards the end of the ripening period, it will start to lose acid very quickly, more quickly than other grapes. And because of that, timing is everything when you're picking this grape. You have to monitor Chardonnay way more carefully than many other grapes. And this matters in cool climates. It matters less because you are generally not exposing these grapes to warmer temperatures on the whole. And you can leave it on the vine a little longer if you want to. You might not want to. But with a place like McLaren Vale, or let's say there's some Chardonnay being produced in Barossa, I don't think much, but there is some, you would have to monitor those grapes and the acid levels incredibly regularly from about halfway through the cycle, the growing cycle, because you really have to pick it at a point where the grapes are going to maintain enough acid and enough fruit flavor, because the longer you leave them, this is a word you might hear. I think we've said it before, flabby, this concept of flabbiness in wine, which is a direct link to the lack of acid. So the less acid that is in a wine, it's going to feel out of balance with itself. And with Chardonnay, it's just more of a risk that this might happen. And also, the longer you leave it on the vine, the fruit flavors kind of drop out as well.
Yeah.
And you get these kind of empty, weird, low acid wines, which are just not fun for anyone to drink, really. So, yeah, it's a really interesting thing about Chardonnay is that we have to monitor it very carefully. So Alto Adige, this particular winery is a collective. It's a large group of winemakers that have banded together in order to maintain quality and to have like selling power in this really remote part of the world, which is hard to get to and hard to send wine from.
Yeah.
It's quite rural. It's mountainous. It's kind of locked in by several mountain ranges.
Right.
But the other thing we should say, we did say that this is called Altkirch, and that is because this region, partially owned by Germany at one point, there's a lot of changeover of culture in this area. And German, I think, is like the second official language.
Yes. Austria partially owned it.
Austria.
Yep.
I'm good at this.
Which is why they were very angry when Italian unification happened, because they lost this area when Italy became one country.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Südtirol as well is south of Tyrol, which is the main village in this region. Village, town, city. I don't know how big it is. I think it's quite small.
Village. Let's go village.
So many microclimates, but produces usually high mineral wines as well. There's a lot of whites. They specialize in a lot of whites. We had one for my Sauvignon Blanc class the other day.
Oh, yeah.
From Collio.
Very good.
Nearby.
Gosh, very good.
Anyway, let's taste.
Yeah. So one thing I will say right off the bat is when you look at the two, you can see that the one that comes from the McLaren Vale, the one that is definitely warmer climate. And also clearly has had some oak usage, has a deeper color to it. It's not, hugely stark between the two, but it's noticeable enough that you're like, yeah, wait a second. The Alto Adige one is clearer, and the McLaren Vale one has a bit of a richer color to it.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, is when you smell them, the Alto Adige one gives you beautiful stone fruits. It's really clean on the nose. There's a bit of that minerality popping through as well.
But there is also citrus and orchard fruit, and this is something that cool climate versus warm climate really affects in Chardonnay, is that the cooler the climate, the more of that beginning development of fruit you're going to get. So
Yeah.
citrus, lemon, lots of apple, lots of pear, and not a lot else.
But the warm climate, first of all, smelling the McLaren Vale, yeah, you can tell oak usage and malolactic were used.
I don't think Mallow was used.
You don't think so?
It's Lee's aging.
Oh, is it Lee's aging? Well, I can definitely get the vanilla tones.
So definitely oak. Yeah.
Right?
We definitely got oak in here.
And then the other thing too is it's more tropical, which is the fun thing with Chardonnay. Because as you were saying, when it's, early, picked early, and it's got more of those early fruit stages, right, from a cooler climate, we get all of these, orchard, stone fruit, citrusy tones. And then when we go to a warm climate, this is where Chardonnay starts showing tropical fruit tones, which is wild to me because there are not that many grapes that have this stark transition of flavor profiles.
Well, there are
in
not
terms of
many grapes that are allowed to have this
I mean, true.
transition.
So it's like there's this, whole category of fruit has changed just by going from cool to warm. And that is one of the things I really love about Chardonnay.
The only other one I can think of that's obvious is Riesling, and that is not to do with the climate. That is to do with the length of time it's allowed to ripen.
Right.
But that affects it as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So smelling these, it's really there's a clear difference between the two.
So absolutely no oak in this one. This is stainless steel only. Let me pull up the notes. Oh, Altkirch translates as old church, by the way, because where they make it, there is a beautiful old building.
Oh, nice. Woo. So I just took a sip of the Altkirch, and beautiful high acid right off the bat.
So fresh. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. This is very clean. This is very crisp. This is that style of Chardonnay that I think a lot of people have come to like if they are lovers of Chablis, where it's cleaner, it's crisper. And I say Chablis, I'm not going to say Chablis Premier Cru or Grand Cru, because one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, that a lot of people just don't realize with Chablis is that the moment you go to the higher classification of vineyard sites in the appellation of Chablis, this is where you start seeing oak used. So when people say they like a Chablis, right, they're usually saying they like the entry-level Chablis that are no oak, clean, which is not a rule, by the way, in Chablis.
No.
It is just a practice. And that is something that everyone should take note of, because that means you will find an entry-level Chablis sometimes that is not what you're expecting, because they may have done a little bit of oak to it, and I've had some of those, and they're beautiful.
That oak is neutral.
Often, but it starts to create that textural feeling that people are trying to not have.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing they want to...
Vibrant acid on the palate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa's not going to give that to you. So really interesting. Clearly, there might have been a touch of MLC, but no Lees. And if they did either of those things, it was simply to mask to integrate the acids.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think any of the three things we've talked about were in this wine, really.
No.
Here, clearly at least two of them.
Yeah. Definitely, you're right. Definitely oak. I did just take a sip of this, and wow, it's surprising because what you get on the nose,
see, this
doesn't
is
translate onto the palate the way you expect it to. The acid here is high. It's crisp.
It's fresh. There's so much lemon.
There is no malolactic conversion that I can tell from
I don't
this.
think so.
So you don't get a buttery palate. You get something that's crisper and leaner on the palate. But that nose tricks you.
But you've got that vanilla.
Yeah.
And you've got that toastiness on the palate. So, Hugh Hamilton, this is truly an Australian dynasty. They've been going since 1837. They didn't originally plant in McLaren Vale, I don't believe. It's I think they're on the 6th generation of winemaker at this point. It is the daughter of the family now. the first woman to technically own the operation. I think she's the winemaker. She might just be the CEO. I'm not sure.
Really?
But either way, it's been in the family for 6 generations. They bought land in McLaren Vale, have grown, and now McLaren Vale is very much the identity of the brand. Scallywag, just for those that are unfamiliar with this term. This is a very British Australian term. Actually, I don't think it is. I think it is also American, but it's just not used very much here.
It's not used here, but I think most Americans will know it as and this is going to be really funny because, it is, I don't know this term in any other fashion. And I think most Americans also don't know this term in any other fashion. But here it's probably more well recognized as a pirate term. Like if you watch pirate movies,
right,
the term scallywag has been used.
Interesting.
Yes.
So initially it's a Scottish term.
Okay. So this is something I didn't know.
Sheep. It's to do with sheep farming and sheep breeding. And I'm going to have to look this up. Did I write the actual word? It comes from another word, which is a direct, like scallowag or something, which indicated there was a breed of Shetland sheep, and coming from a certain area, they were a bit scrawnier and a bit leaner. So those sheep were called scallowags or something like that. And then it just changed meaning and word to end up meaning like scoundrel or scamp or someone that...
This makes sense for the pirate kind of thing to it. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's where the pirate angle comes in. But very common, still used in Australia.
Really?
Often towards children who are messing around and you scallywag. But yeah, Shetland Isles is where that derived from.
This explains why there's a sheep on it. Although what's funny about it is that this label doesn't just say scallywag and has a sheep. It's a black sheep with a quote on the very bottom of the front of the bottle saying, "Every family has one," which I would love to know the story behind why they chose to put a black sheep on the bottle and said
so
every
again,
family has one.
That's a reference to the family members that are currently running it. They're doing something different, I think, is the concept behind that.
The black sheep of the family.
But yeah, it's truly a dynasty. Everyone has heard of Hugh Hamilton Mines in Australia. We have a warm climate in McLaren Vale, but it's far more microclimate based than people realize. It's got a lot of different microclimates, and a lot of them are much cooler than we think. But also the ocean directly influences the grapes. So
gotcha.
Ocean breezes really drop the temperatures in the vineyards. So even if it's baking, McLaren Vale has a pretty steady rise, and if you're towards the top, you're getting a lot of breeze, a lot of ocean breeze, and that really does mitigate the heat waves that happen in Adelaide.
Fair, yeah,
on a regularity. So yeah, very cool wines. I really like this. It's much fresher than you think it's going to be.
The scallywag?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised by it too. The thing is I like both of them. And I can see a time, a place, a dish in which I would have either one of these, and none of that crosses. But I will say the scallywag is probably the more interesting of the two to me. And the reason is because that nose and then the palate don't translate the same way. The nose tricks you. It makes you feel like this is about to become an oaky Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Like a buttery style, right? You think that that's going to happen just based on the nose. And then you get something that's lighter, crisper on the palate than you were expecting. And doesn't have that creamy texture to it that you, again, may have been expecting. Any regular, I should say, wine drinker would smell this and go, "Oh my gosh, is this about to be?" And it's like, no, it's not about to be. It's not about to be the buttery style you expect. Yeah. I mean, these are
Super
both
cool wines.
super cool, both delicious.
I mean, the more I drink, the more I learn about my own palate and preferences, but then also am exposed to more and more wine. I am progressively gravitating away from oak. It's just, it takes a lot for me to want that.
Really?
It really does have to be with food for me. I don't often. I would drink the Alto Adige.
Funny enough, I don't find myself gravitating away from oak.
Yeah. Again, it's different for everyone. But
it is, right? And I think
the way I'm moving. Reds are a little bit different. But again, I want food.
I love oak on reds.
Yeah.
I love it. Depending on the red, right?
Depending on the red, but also
I don't want a super vanilla Pinot Noir. I don't want that,
No.
But like, you're going to hand me a bottle of Merlot from, say, Bordeaux. I would love to have those vanilla tones paired with the fruit.
Yes.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are fantastic, honestly.
They're both really good quality wines. Very different styles.
Both screw cap.
Both screw cap.
We've talked about that in a previous episode.
We didn't intend that, but screw caps are so useful.
Very useful.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them. Does not denote any kind of anything with the quality. Has nothing to do with the closure.
And this is 2023. Fresh as it was made.
I was gonna say that's still very fresh. So
because of the screw cap, most likely.
Yeah,
screw cap.
The screw cap.
What did I just say?
I don't know.
I'm very tired, guys. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
both affordable. I think they're both around the $25.
Yeah,
mark.
they're both in the $20 range. Yeah, I think that one of the things that everyone should definitely take away from this conversation is that Chardonnay is not one note.
No.
We talked about being a winemaker's wine earlier, and there's no joke around that. The thing about Chardonnay in the wine industry is that a winemaker really is able to showcase what their worth is by making a Chardonnay. It shows you what their skill set is and how good of a winemaker they can be. There are many grapes out there that will just do the job for you. It's true. There's no joke about that, right?
Well, not necessarily
I'm not
do it for you, but
but you know what I mean. Like,
the less you do, the better it is.
Exactly, right? And that's the whole point, is that you don't have to be as involved with it as you can be with Chardonnay, and as you probably should be with Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is the grape that really showcases what a winemaker is capable of, because there is so much up to them.
The prices of Burgundy these days.
Yes.
Among other things.
But
yes.
But that's why Chardonnay is a category that everyone should fully explore, because what you're going to find is not just regions that you will gravitate to, you will find winemakers that you will gravitate to.
Yeah.
And that is very different. For a lot of wines out there, you will find a region that you'll gravitate to, and you may never ever find a single winemaker that you gravitate to, because the style is so similar for whatever that grape is from winemaker to winemaker. Some are standouts. Some of them, it's by a hair. But Chardonnay is one of those things where, it truly is fully different from winemaker to winemaker. And so you'll find your region, cool climate versus warm climate. Then you'll find your style. Then you'll find your winemaker. And that is the beauty of Chardonnay.
Where is it? Leroux.
Benjamin Leroux.
Last time.
I know.
What a maker. Beautiful wines.
Fantastic.
And very subtle.
Very subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous Chardonnays.
I know. I don't know when there's more of his wines being released.
I don't know.
It's coming up, actually. I think it's every fall is the release of his wines.
Yeah.
There's very little of it. So if you want Benjamin Leroux wines...
just given us a grape. I was about to say star. Michelin grape.
He was Michelin. Yep.
Yeah.
I think 2.
I think it was 1.
Or was it 1?
Yeah, it was 1.
I was happy he got it, though.
Yeah, we were all thrilled. I mean, he deserves.
Absolutely deserves
acclaim.
it.
Yeah.
Star in Burgundy. But if you want wines like that, definitely jump on my mailing list because those are the kinds of releases that I will be on top of and letting people know. But those are also the kind of wines where you don't buy it now, it's gone. We're actually lucky to even have a bottle of his on the shelf.
I think we got 4, maybe.
Yeah. The moment people discover his wines in Burgundy, it's like, it's lights out. That's it. We're done. Like people are like transformed.
And that
forever.
will happen now because Michelin just put a spotlight on him.
I know.
Yep.
I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for him, but also this is the problem with rating systems.
Yes.
They
This
draw
is the
too
flip
much attention.
side. But I mean, for Burgundy, actually, this is not bad because there are some producers who did not get the highest accolades and their prices may be slightly adjusted for that.
At some point, we need to touch on the fallout of this. There has been development.
No.
Someone has already asked to have their name removed from the list.
Now we get into some juicy stuff.
Yeah.
We will have
And
this
they
conversation.
expect more to follow.
Well, you know what? That's on them for thinking they were God's gift to earth because some of these winemakers in Burgundy, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, your wines are good, but you cannot sit there and say, listen,
Well, it's just one system of rating. That's the thing.
It
It's
is.
like how much...
but they're angry
much
because
stock are
it's
we
not the
putting in?
90, like,
It's not free grapes.
it's not
Yeah.
3 grapes. Like, that's the thing. When they know full well that a customer's perception of that grape system is going to be different than their perception of the 100-point system because customers have no idea, right? Your customers for your wines, they don't know. And I'm so sorry to everyone listening, but I'm being frank and honest with you. Nobody knows the true difference between a 96 point and a 98 point or 99 point, right?
Or
They just
97
know
point.
the 100 point is the king.
Yeah.
And they think everything in the 90s is like God tier, right? For lack of a better way of putting it. So this will be an interesting conversation because
We should touch on that.
Michelin, there's a distinction. Everyone gets that if you're not 3 stars and you're 2 stars, you're still great, but you're not that great,
You're not untouchable.
right?
Yeah.
You're still in this class, but people can figure out the difference between the 3. It's like, and then their prices. I wonder if it was Dujac.
It wasn't.
Wow, that surprised me. That surprises
I'm
me.
blanking on the name right now. We'll,
All right.
we'll talk about it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk
But
about
anyway,
it later.
for now,
I think we
touched on Chardonnay, and I think everyone should explore more Chardonnay. So
Yes.
come into the stores,
That is
get
the
yourselves either these bottles.
these bottles.
These are fantastic. And just try a ton of Chardonnay from all over the world, from many different winemakers and different winemakers in the same regions. Because like we said, it's not going to be exactly the same. It's a malleable grape, and it's really up to the winemaker. And explore this. Also, get on my mailing list on VDV Select and discover fun Chardonnays that I'm out there hunting for.
Yeah.
So, but on that note,
have a great week. We'll see
Yeah.
you next week.
and cheers.
Cheers.